because
I'm
a
frosty.
cold-hearted son
Do
of
you
a
guys
bitch.
ever, like, when you get your paycheck, when you get your little notification of like, hey, you got paid,
Mhm.
you just think to yourself, I could just pack up and fucking go, man. I could just
No.
I could just get in a car and never come back. That check cleared, they can't take it back, and you just drive.
What about all your
Um,
bills that you have to pay
If
with
you're
that
if
paycheck?
you're driving, you're not coming back.
I
do I
mean,
think about
your
getting out of here?
creditors can follow you basically around. So,
I don't know, man. I got the cash.
I don't. I don't
how
think I
much do you
think
get
about
paid?
like just
Well,
going
not that
on
much, but
on a run. But it's a nice fresh feeling of like you're good to go. Like
Yeah.
like that's
maybe it's the single guy in me that's like, I could just pack it up and get the fuck out of here. I don't have wives or dogs or kids
I,
to worry
Yeah.
about.
I was gonna say,
I got nothing weighing me down.
It's
except
weird.
a mortgage, car payment, maybe. I don't know if you're still paying your car or not.
Yeah, all that stuff's happening. But I don't know. There's something when you see the notification that says, "Hey, check cleared," and I just go,
Ching. Yeah,
let's
This
just
is it.
fucking go.
What
it's
is
a great
that?
day.
What is the Goodwill Hunting? I'm tired of driving by here picking your jerk ass up. I want you to just come and be gone one day when I come to pick you up. That whole fucking monologue. God, that's such a good movie. And that
I
whole
would love
scene.
to just be gone one day.
Yeah, just like I want
Right,
to come
Johnny?
here and you be gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, Johnny.
Trying to
Speaking
segue into something there, Bobby.
Ah, damn, that was not supposed to be a segue. But it kind of worked.
Yeah.
Well,
Hi guys, it's the Casual
hi.
Hour. I'm your not host.
no, I'll take it. Johnny, in fucking typical Johnny fashion, can't even stick the landing of an exit.
That's right. This is my last episode of the Casual Hour.
375 of them.
Yeah.
You've only been here for probably 340 of those, but it's
only 340.
Yeah.
What a slacker.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have been weighing this decision for a while.
No more than we have.
I have other things going on in my life that are distracting me, making me not as good of a partner to these two guys. Not that I was a great partner to begin with.
Thank you for acknowledging.
But it's been 8 years. That's a long time to do anything, and I feel like it is time for me to step back. And I have some other things I'm going to be working on. I guess I'm going to be like I don't know what to say exactly. Other than this is my last episode. It's bittersweet. It's not like I'm going to not talk to these two, outside of this context of the show. I'm sure that I'll pop in for a Friday stream every once in a while. I'll probably come back just to be on an episode of the podcast again at some point. This isn't goodbye forever. This is goodbye for now. I'm going to be really pursuing stuff over at Hard Drive and just writing in general. I'll be putting a lot of my energy into that. And yeah, that is where I'm at.
It's an interesting thing. Johnny and I started this. Chase came just like 1 or 2 episodes after it, but this was an idea for a very long time. Like a what if we would do it? And it became this thing that we did with Patrick right out of the gate, and he left pretty quick. He knew he's the smart one of all of us. He knew right away, like, I got to get the fuck out of here.
Hang out with these.
I can't do this. So he got the fuck out of Dodge,
clowns.
Which is great. We love Patrick. He's a forever member of the show, but it's a situation where it's weird that it became what it was, and it endured a lot, and it created a lot. I mean, friendship probably being the most important of it. I think when we really peel it back, like, I wouldn't know Chase without this weird thing that we've been doing for a long time. And that's become something, where it's like, we talked about video games and how cool they were. And then we started talking about like sick parents, and we started talking about house stresses and a pandemic and like all these things that like evolved into, you got me playing fucking Magic somehow. Like, weird.
Not for long.
Not
For
for
time.
long. I kind of took a page out of Patrick's book and said, yeah, I'm getting out of this. I know where this is going. This is bad. But I appreciate all that you've done. And I know I've pushed you away and harder at times than what I wanted to do with this show, because it kind of became something very different than we signed up for. You know, we're putting out shit multiple days a week now to a pretty well-oiled machine. And that was a very selfish thing for me to do, but it became a really cool way to hang out with you guys more.
I've always said that you're a selfish asshole.
I mean,
Um,
this definitely started as, hey,
was-
we're gonna do this podcast once a week.
Yeah, it was a
And
rotating day.
It's audio
it was-
only,
Yep.
and because it's audio only and it's pre-recorded, we can kind of do it whenever we want. And that was its own type of hell. Of
Yeah.
Johnny going,
Hey.
well, I can't do it this Tuesday, so we got to do it this Thursday.
Oh yeah,
And I had a thing going on that
we were working
Thursday.
around retail schedules.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well,
Uh,
let's try
Jude
doing
was
it at
2
11
years old at the
PM.
time. Mhm. So
Uh,
I would have to leave in the middle of an episode to go tend to a crying child.
So that
Still
was
have
that
to
was
leave to go tuck him in at night. At
You
the
still
end,
do
at the
that.
tail end of these episodes. Yeah, you know what? I'll hang on to that for as long as I can, because I know the day is coming that very soon that he will not want me to do that.
Oh, you're going to quit that too. Okay. Good
Yeah.
to know.
I just
Well,
that's all I do.
Skibbity toilet.
Go ahead, leave. It's what you're good at.
For sure. Yeah, but we went from like the audio only podcast that was pre-recorded that we, were that worked. It was hell, but it worked for a
Mhm.
while. And then Bobby really wanted to push this, like, hey, let's get on Twitch. Let's do this as a video thing. And that was a rough transition for somebody like me who'd never done. I mean, I'd done video and I'd done like high school plays and stuff. I was fine performing in front of a camera, but all of the podcasting stuff that I had done had been audio only. And
Yep.
and I liked it that way. It was chill. It was comfortable. We could fix mistakes. You didn't have to be on the entire time because you weren't live.
Yeah.
But
we could look like goblins.
yeah, well,
I mean, I still do.
but I think it's ended up being a good transition, and
Mhm.
I like the structure that we've gotten, and we've built upon that structure, as Bobby said. Now that we're doing 3 streams a week, plus the quick looks that we put out, plus all the incredible work that Bobby does on the socials, and I think we've built a pretty cool product here.
Yeah.
And so it's only going to get better because Johnny's leaving it. Which
If you've made it this far.
yeah, less is more, honestly.
Yeah.
but
More
yes,
time for,
Johnny's been a huge contribution to the show. I mean, you're 1/3 of the hosting, you're part of the cast, and you
I started as the host.
Yeah, and then we figured out you couldn't do that.
Yeah, I wasn't very good at it, so I was like, Poppy, you should probably do this.
We're still not very good at it, but
So I personally just want to thank you for your contributions over the years.
Hey.
I mean, this is not a professional thing. You're a very good friend of mine. So I just want to, hey, thanks, man.
yeah, thank you.
It's been great.
Thank you guys.
I think
Find a new whipping boy.
Well,
not
Bobby and I are
necessary.
going to have to figure out which one's going to be dominant now, because now that we have no beta.
Yeah.
Shut up, West. Destroyer
we have
2547.
To, yeah, it's gonna be rough.
Yeah, that's
So also just for everybody else out there, show's not ending. Bobby
No.
and I are going to keep doing this.
Yep.
Exactly what form that's going to take, we don't know quite yet. We're going to have some conversations about how we want the show to. Maybe this is an opportunity for some structure stuff to change.
Yep.
We'll see. Not necessarily. We might.
Some of the shit just won't work with 2 people. It just won't work that way.
Yeah. I mean, game of the year. I'm going to say this game's the best game, and Bobby's going to say that's the best game, and that just won't work. So we'll
Is that fair? Can I say, Johnny, you'll probably be around for that episode, I think.
Game of the year?
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
You would come on and give us your top 10, I bet.
Yeah, I keep it my top 10.
Yeah. And then I'll have a reason to bitch, and Bobby as well. If you pick the wrong games, like you're just a fucking part timer, your vote shouldn't count, and then we'll figure it out. Should I maybe have 3/5 of a vote, Chase? Is that what you're saying? I think you should get even less if you ask me.
Yeah.
But,
down
Oh
with that.
wow.
But yeah, we're gonna get together. I think
it's not a
the
race thing; it's a Johnny thing.
I think the one thing that we can tell you is we're gonna maintain the same time slots that we have right now. And Monday nights will still be Chase and I doing that stream. Friday nights are going to look different because Johnny did those with me. I'm going to be doing probably more solo streams, and I might even try and do a playthrough of a game, just something that like would be a me thing. But there's a lot of new friends we've met along the way, thanks to Johnny and others. But Jiggy and Zoe and Pierce and myself and Patrick and my cousin Jason, like Johnny's cousin Jared, like there'll probably be times where people are
Real rogues
passing through
gallery.
of coming through to play
And
games.
And those people might even show up on Wednesdays, like Zoe
Yeah,
did.
totally.
So again, we don't have anything to announce specifically other than, hey, the podcast is going to continue. We're going to kill it. Words. We're going to still keep
Continuity.
We're going to keep doing stuff.
Yes.
That's what I'm trying
There you
to
go.
say.
My words don't work so good.
Stuff will keep happening.
Yeah.
Even with Johnny taking a backseat on a lot of this stuff. But again, Johnny, it's been 8 years, and outside of good riddance, I want to say,
good luck. Yeah.
And you know what? I never did get my casual coins up to the 1 million, but I guess that counts as like a be nice to Johnny.
I'll take it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't have been able to.
And he poured in
afford
a
it.
storm, right?
It went up.
I start using these casual coins now. Now that the one thing I was saving up for doesn't matter anymore, I should probably spend some of these.
I jacked that price up pretty high after that phone call, and so I decided maybe we should just get rid of this. So I got rid of it because it was bad.
He's already at 1.5 million.
Yeah, well, you keep pushing. This is episode 375. It is Johnny's last episode. It is currently May 15th. We've got a lot of video games and some news to get into. We're going to talk about Animal Well a lot. We're going to talk about Stardew Valley. We're going to talk about a game called Rogue Voltage, V Rising, and Ayuden Chronicles 100 Heroes from Chase. So we got some stuff to get into, including one final goodbye, not only from Johnny, but from Tango, and some really cool stuff with gaming communities continually doing the most obscure, obscene shit, like finding doors they haven't been able to open for 30 years. Some cool stuff to talk about. So get in for Johnny's last episode. We're going to have some fun, and we will make sure to tell you about some games that you should check out. To kick us off one last time, Johnny, what's happening in Stardew Valley?
Well, Stardew Valley came out in 2016 when we started
just getting around to it.
Yeah, I played a bunch of it back then and really loved it. And I've gone back to it intermittently here and there. But this 1.6 update that just came out added a bunch of new stuff to it, and I decided to just start a new farm. So I don't know, an hour here, hour there for the last 4 or 5 days. What?
We were this close. Man of your talents? Farming? Really?
Yeah.
We could have done it all.
It's still spring. It's the 20th day of spring or something like that, so I haven't even made it through full season. But it's just that game.
I hope they like spring because they're going to be there for a while.
It's just so nice. It's so nice. It's like a warm blanket. You just turn it on, you water your crops, you go pick up some seashells on the beach, maybe go down to the mine for a bit, maybe give somebody a gift. It's just a fantastic game, and it's been the kind of thing that I needed right now.
You don't even have to get your hands dirty.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, the 1.6 update added in new seasonal events. It added in tons of dialogue, new weapons, new secrets. It's a huge update. I'm pretty sure this is it. I think that they said this.
So isn't this chocolatier thing supposed to happen?
It is.
Eventually.
This was not supposed to be as big as it was. It was supposed to kind of just be like one final bug push, and it ended up becoming quite the overhaul for the game. It's a gargantuan update. So
yeah, it sounds like maybe like a love letter to what he created.
Yeah, totally.
So
it's cool.
yeah, that's been really nice. I'm gonna keep plugging away at that. Not a whole lot to add. I realized as I was playing it last night that it came out sometime in 2016 in the fall, I think. So it's kind of serendipitous that I'm ending the show talking about Stardew in the first year that we were doing it. I definitely was talking a lot about Stardew.
You were. That's very true.
Other than that,
anytime you weren't talking about The Witcher 3, you were probably talking about Stardew.
Oh man,
and Firewatch.
So good. Blood and Wine. Aside from that, the other game I've been playing is one that it looks like we've all been playing.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a little bit, so we'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to save that for
remember the
full timers get to talk about that game.
I'm done for now then.
You're done for now. You're going to be doneer here soon, but you're done for right now. All right. So Chase and I checked out a game on Monday night called Rogue Voltage. This came from a tweet from friend of the show, James of Ground Shatter. And James has good taste and makes good things, so we decided to check it out, and I really liked it. This came out on May 10th from Horizon Computer Graphic, which is a great name. I believe it's only on Steam and Early Access right now. There is a demo, and you can pick it up permanently for $15.99. I pitched it to Chase as a Zachtronics turn-based roguelike game, and I think that's pretty good for what it is. This game is really, really intense, but in a great way. You are running a circuit board that is allowing you to think of like an old vintage synthesizer where you have like the cables that you're moving, like the analog synths, and moving that around. You are plugging and jacking in to intakes and outtakes that go into your character's abilities that you can chain and move and do shit with. So you can have an attack, a heal, you can have a factory that makes potions if you give it juice. There's a plasma currency that you can offload excess energy into, and you're picking targets like you would in a traditional turn-based RPG while you're doing a run. So you're picking up new gear on the run, and you get better loot the faster you can get rid of all the enemies on the screen. So there's a lot of incentives happening, and you're also managing a timeline. So you can get some pretty broken stuff that would help you advance a battle to be over pretty quick. But holy shit, I mean, Chase is one of the smartest dudes I know, and I think that he and I both were like, wait a second, what the fuck's going on here? This is a lot.
It's interesting coming off of a game like Unicorn Overlord, because this game also has a bit of automation to it, and I get why Bobby likes it, because it's basically like a factory builder on your RPG. You fucking sicko.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, every turn is automated. You set the contraption up ahead of time, and then when you go, it all does its mechanics as it works out. And then in addition to that, there is also a turn timeline, which a lot of games have used. I remember one of classic casual hour game of the year moment where I talked about Dragon Ball Fusions, which has
the game's good.
That game's fucking fantastic. I should go back and play more of that. But that game also has like a turn timeline. Lots of games do turn timelines. What was that? What was that one that you guys liked? The
one from Ubisoft that was like a water painting?
No, the one from Riot that was the
oh yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Shit.
It's
that
the
had like a same kind of turn order on a timeline that was on there. And this does the same thing. And you can also manipulate how the turn order works by pushing guys back or speeding your guys up. But it's definitely that kind of
It's a chunky game.
Gambit system, Unicorn Overlord. Let's find ways of making all these things play together, because you have two characters. Well, at least we got to two characters. So now you're seeing, okay, if that character does this thing, then it affects this other character on their turn that does another thing, and they just kind of Rube Goldberg machine tie into each other. And it's really interesting, but it's also so fucking much.
Like Johnny, you have a rack, and to the left of the rack is a universal backpack for your character. Yeah. So I could have this, because you have not like a capacitor, but you have this device that can take a charge when you pick it up, and you can charge it up with one character and move it to your backpack and slot it on the other character's turn the next time. and you can like overcharge your weapon ability to do more damage based off the charges you've collected, or you can produce more health. And like it's really fucking cool. You kind of like tee it all up, and they have a very chunky power button that you push, and then it just triggers off this electrical circuit that then off to the right, you're watching your characters shoot or dodge or heal or do something. It's really fucking cool.
Like
And
a pretty weird, interesting mashup of
yes,
concepts.
It's so many layers. And I think
Yeah.
what the other thing that really gets me is that it at least in the parts that we played, maybe it eventually gets there if you get enough modules and connect them in specific ways. But the way the tutorial took us through the game and the way the early parts of the game were pushing us, there are also a lot of cooldowns. So you're unable to just build a system. Like when I think about Bobby playing one of these factory games, the idea is that you're trying to get to the point where you don't have to.
You discussed it a little bit.
Like you just leave it. Like once you can get the machine to self-perpetuate,
yeah,
you're good.
make this, harvest this, produce this.
Right. And Rogue Voltage, at least in the early game, maybe you can get there as you connect more modules and things. Never lets you get to that point because you'll have cooldowns or something will be cracked and it breaks once it gets used. So every turn is another, oh god, I've got to move all these switches like you're an operator on an old time.
That's really what it
system.
is.
And so it's okay, well, now I can use the gun with this on this turn, and okay, now the gun's on cooldown, so I need to move that over here to make a potion, and then I need to move it over here so I can heal, and then I need to move that over here so it can charge this thing, and that thing's now charged for this next turn, so I'm going to move that back over to the gun, and
so
it's
good.
overcharged, so it's doing extra damage, and I'm going to move this over here and move that over there, and it's every fucking turn.
Sounds
which
like a lot.
is really cool, but it keeps you on your toes, which I think is to the credit of the game. I think it might be worse if you were just building a machine and it only got more efficient or better every time you used it. So I like the fact that you really have to understand the system because you are fucking with it every goddamn turn.
Oh yeah, the design of it reminds me a lot of like the mid 90s Nickelodeon style toys and shit, like the way that they would have like springs and like the Bop It toy, like the whole rack looks like a Bop It in a lot
Like
like
yeah,
it's
sure.
that's kind of what it's like. Bop it, pull it, twist it, do it.
Yeah, it's just a contraption.
Yeah, somebody beat Elden Ring with a Bop It, then we'll talk. But anyway,
I almost guarantee you
Someone, if they could find a way to do that.
It was probably with Dark Souls and not Elden Ring, but I guarantee you somebody has beaten a FromSoft game with.
Give me a Bop It fucking Guitar Hero game. Make it happen, cowards.
I only had the first Bop It. I had the original one that was like the stick. You just had the three things. You
that's what I'm saying.
It, twist it, or pull it. And then they made one that's like the
it's like something Weird Al Yankovic would play.
Like it was like a steering wheel. So now you have like four things.
Oh god, no, that's too much bopping.
And I was like, no, fuck that. It's three things.
It's Bop It, twist it, push
it. Different modes now.
Yeah, no, thank you.
I guess they always had different modes.
They ruined Bop It.
I will. All right, so this next game will be brief,
including Bop It.
Is there not just an app for Bop It these days?
What would that even be? You can't
swipe it.
Call me Lorena Bop It because I'm cutting this off. Okay, we're done.
Swipes. It just keeps yelling "swipe it" every time, and you just keep swiping.
Swipe it.
All right.
Swipe it.
Keep swiping.
V Rising came out. This game rules. It's going to be coming to PlayStation soon, but it was in early access for a very long time. It is now out in 1.0. It's May 8th. It came out. You can buy it right now for $35. This is a isometric action RPG that has crafting and base building in it, but you are a vampire that has some really cool abilities that play into magic and the lore of being a vampire. You are susceptible to the sunlight, so you need to make sure that you're doing stuff at night or build out gear that can protect you during the day, which is a really cool element. You can build these little mist things back at your castle that allows you to work in the sunlight, which is fun. But I'm finding that this game is usually when you see games try to do a lot of multi-genre things, it's like, okay, cool. You are a great farming game, but you're not a really great crafting game. Or, hey, this is a cool combat game. Like I think about Moonlighter, like how it let you go and do the shop elements. It didn't you have to craft anything. It was more focused on runs and combat. And then it did a really good job of balancing the whole shopkeeper stuff. I thought that was really well done. I'm looking at V Rising now as a very competent builder, crafter, but also a great action RPG. You get multiple different weapon styles that each have their own move sets. So they're on a little bit of a cooldown. It feels not like an MMO in that sense, but it is multiplayer. And you can play with other people on your own server or through just a current like ad hoc play once off. But I have axes, a sword, like a hammer, a bow and arrow, and then magical abilities that are enhanced by feeding. So your castle has a heart that requires a blood essence to pump power into the castle. That. So you need to be pumping that into it. But you might see an animal like a deer, or it could be a bear, could be a moose. And if you go and attack it, you get to a point where it says feed, and it gives you a percentage next to it. Can be anything from 1 to 2, upwards of 40 to 50. And the type of blood that you drink as a vampire gives you stat abilities, which enhance whatever your build might be. So here's a great example. I was going to go take on this camp. It was full of rogues and that were like shooting me with crossbows. I just got a crossbow, so I went and I killed a bunch of them. And when I drank their blood, it gave me an enhancement with rogue abilities that could be speed and reaction and that sort of thing. So as I'm playing, I have my blood enhanced to this level, and depending on the percentage that I got, it would unlock kind of like the ring card in Magic, how like if you do something, you can add another layer to it and keep going. The blood abilities can be expanded and built on depending on how much percentage of whatever you're biting goes in. So I could be like a 34 rogue, but I needed to get more blood, and I ended up biting a deer, and now I'm like a 2% beast at that point in time. So I just wiped away my rogue ability. So I can just run out, and if I find somebody,
you're more than 2% beast.
I'm 2% beast, whole beast.
I think you skim beast.
You're the Diet Coke of beast.
Oh my god! But the combat's been really, really good. I like what they've done with it. So the upgrade systems are tied to the V bloodline, which are like big named enemies. And when you go and kill them, if you drink their blood, you unlock their abilities, which is great. So like I just got ice magic, where I just had blood magic for the longest time, but you can mix and match those out. So depending on what you wanted to focus and unlock, I just unlocked this ranged attack where an ice bat would shoot out of my character. So now I can like do this blood stuff where I can block with that and attack with ice, slow them down, and then go up and get a bite on them if I want to. We're gonna play it on Friday night.
Ice bat with wings, or ice bat like
like Ozzy Osbourne would bite it.
Okay.
Pierce, who does another podcast with Chase and just a longtime friend of the show, he's going to swing by. There might be some other folks from our Discord that join in on Friday night while we stream this, and Chase will be there just chatting but not playing. I'm really having a great time with it. I knew I'd like it. We put a good amount of time into it when it hit early access, but these games you just know they're going to expand on, which they did, and there's been other quests and story beats with it, and I think that they even added in I might be saying this with no data to back it up right now, but I'm pretty sure I read that they added somebody from Castlevania into it, I think, which would make sense.
That sounds right. I believe I read a similar thing.
Yeah, I think that they've added it into the because there are
Belmont in there or something.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's a Van Helsing, but I came across somebody that looked very much like Van Helsing that had a skull by their name, so I knew I couldn't fight them yet. So I was also disguised as a wolf. That's the other thing. You have the character. Yeah, there's one wolf that's hiding from Van Helsing. You can morph into other things. So like you're kind of a druid in that sense, but I can turn into a wolf, not a werewolf, and just like an actual on all fours wolf running around. But that increases your jump range and your speed. Yes, because lichens and vampires are enemies.
I played Skyrim. You can only be a vampire or a werewolf.
Yeah, you have to choose. Yeah.
So that's V Rising. It's very cool. There are there's a lot of DLC for it if you want to grab those from like cosmetics or unlockable. So check that out. I don't know what all came with being on the early access. I got to double check that stuff, but it's going to be on console soon. I don't know when though. Chase, what's happening with all those 100 heroes?
Yeah, I'll just give a quick update here. It's probably Stockholm syndrome, but I'm finding myself just getting.
It happens
used
to you a lot.
Yeah, probably. I found myself getting used to more of the bad things.
I've grown accustomed to your face.
Yeah, it's like I don't think anything I said last week was wrong, and I certainly stand behind all of it, and it's all still there. But
Yeah.
I think I've just gotten used to this game's problems and have been enjoying the parts that have not been so bad.
Sure.
Which are the characters. I think there are some really cool characters in there. I've gotten even more of them at this point. I've gotten a cool samurai dude. I got a kind of samurai girl who was started with you and then she left for a while and now she's back. There's some cool people and I'm starting to collect even more of them. And I did one more boss fight that was kind of long and had a really easy gimmick, which I guess is better than a random gimmick that was just bad. Um, so I'm having a better time with that game. I'm gonna
Sounds
keep
like it.
picking away at it, but you know, I still think if you can play it on anything else except the Switch,
Yeah.
that's where you should play it.
Yeah.
But
I
don't know.
use that's you sound a lot like me.
It's just making me want to stop playing this and go and play Suikoden 1, which is one of the games that I haven't played in the Suikoden series.
Or maybe stop and pick it up when the new Switch comes out, and maybe it'll run better there.
Sure, maybe. Who knows? Yeah, I don't know how any of that stuff works. Like whether just hardware acceleration stuff would actually fix some of the problems in here, or if this is more on like a software side for the Switch version specifically. Anyway, it's fine. I'm not jumping up and down for it or anything, but I've been having some good times with it.
Cool.
But not nearly.
You talking about that or me?
Yeah, good question. But not nearly as good a time as I've had with a game called Animal Well, which I know that we've all been playing.
Yeah, I'm surprised, Chase. I am surprised.
I mean, I've got problems with it. That's what I'm not surprised about.
Not surprised,
yeah,
but
I mean,
but you're
this is
famously not a Metroidvania fan.
Correct. There are some that I've played that I've enjoyed. I really liked the first Guacamelee. I liked Gato Roboto, which was a very tiny one of those.
Dead Cells.
Yeah, but Dead Cells is
It's also
it is mechanically, but like structurally, it's not.
Yeah.
But by the way, this just came out on May 8th. This is by Billy Basso. It's put up by Big Mode. It is Donkey's first outing here.
Yep.
$25. It's on PC. I think it's on Switch. I think it's on PlayStation as well.
I can confirm on Switch. Runs.
It is. I would hope so. It's like 50 megabytes.
I would hope Eden Chronicle ran well too, but it didn't.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the stuff you should know about this game from a line item.
And honestly, probably the only stuff you should know about this game. I would caution anybody, if you're listening and you're like, I don't know, these guys seem like they like this Animal Well game. Just turn this off.
Yeah, go.
I know it's Johnny's last show or whatever, and you're like, oh, nostalgia, I should hang out here. But Johnny says, no, you don't. Leave. Go. Get out of here.
I've intentionally not read any reviews.
Same.
I have not looked at really any media outside of the trailers that they put out through Big Mode.
And I know Bobby is. Did you finish it, Bobby?
I think I'm close. I only need 2 more items.
Okay, so you're much further than I am. I've collected one of the 4 things at the beginning, like the kind of. I don't know if there's more to the game than that, but like they kind of set you out, and there is a perceived goal of collecting 4 things, and I've collected one of those 4 things.
Yep. So it's hard to talk about a game like this right now because I will just say it will be heavily discussed in December.
Yeah.
And
well, let's talk about the stuff that's easy to talk about. Aesthetically, this game fucking rules.
Yeah.
It is some pixel art, but at the same time, it is a very dark palette, and that allows them to play with light in some really cool ways.
it's a game you should play at night, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Or in a
I can
dark
see that.
room.
Yeah, like in the dark is nice because it does have some really cool lighting, some really vibrant colors that really stand out.
It reminds me of a
against
light
those
bright.
stark black backgrounds. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can see that.
Do you
Right.
do you play with the scan lines on or off?
On.
I play with whatever was default.
Then yes.
The one thing I'll call out, so I played it in full screen, but I had it in a window for a moment. And when I went to move the window, there's a lot of nature in this game, first of all. And they do a really cool pixel design on like vines and plants and just, flora in general. But I went to move the window and the fucking plants, and they move with inertia based off my movement of the window.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And I was like, hot fucking damn. Like, and I just did that for probably a few minutes. I was like, this is insanely cool. And it was a happenstance that it even worked out that way for me. But yeah, it's very much got the wow factor from a pixel standpoint that Sword and God damn it. Yes. For me at least. Like I felt I think this looks much better. But
the game I was thinking of was Narita Boy.
Yeah.
Like remember we saw trailers for that game and thought it was the coolest thing ever.
Yep.
And it looked cool, but like the thing about a game like that is, well, one, I just didn't like playing it. But the other thing was that it was aggressive about what it wanted to be aesthetically. And maybe that worked for that game, but something I really appreciate about Animal Well is everything feels subtle. Everything feels a little bit more considered, and it's
everything
a game
is
about
very deliberate. Yeah.
It's a game about
everything is placed just
discovery.
so
Totally. And I think being subtle in everything that it does allows for you to explore at your own pace, find secrets or miss them entirely. The game has not really seemed like it's forcing you to find shit.
No,
even
not at all.
Even finding there's a room that's kind of very early in the game you can find it. I didn't find it until much later because I wasn't looking for it. I just kind of picked a direction and went. I just call it the egg room. It's got like a giant peacock or whatever that talks that's there. And there's just all these like Fabergé eggs, and you find different eggs that all have different descriptions on them. And when you find them, they go into this egg room, and there are some doors in there that seems like every 8 eggs, I think it is, that it might open a door and maybe you get to do something in there. I've found 7 eggs, unfortunately, which really pisses me the fuck off.
Yeah.
I would like one more egg so I could talk about this a little better. But maybe it's better that I don't know.
I think that
nice egg in the springtime.
The one thing for it, like what you're talking about, I think you're doing a nice job with like it's being subtle. But the thing that blows my mind about this is it's a very surreal game, but it feels like everything that I'm seeing, I'm just like, oh, this makes sense. Like I understand why this thing's here. Like it just feels so known. Like it's only slightly out of focus, and it's only slightly off from like normal. It's weird as shit, but it's, I guess maybe just the world we're living in is what we assume. Like it's very much like if I was at the mall in the 90s and I fell into the fountain and I went down the drain, I'd probably end up in Animal Well. Or if I fell into the sink in 1997 at the Rainforest Cafe, I would end up in Animal Well, I think. And I would be okay with it because this game it's very much like a game that can kill you, but not because of like anything terrible. Like you can get smashed. There's like a dog, but it's just a situation where it feels equally like weird and wonderful and safe. And Yeah, but like also it's like,
Like
okay,
you could also perish at any moment.
yeah, and they do have a manual save system, so there is some of that. Like but the game, comparative to other Metroidvanias, which are punishing, they really press you. They really want to make sure that there's threats that keep your progression from going too quick, or things are pretty far out of reach for a long time in those games. Where this one, it just kind of feels like, all right, like I need to blow off some steam, and I want to not think about anything besides this. It's a game that you can just kind of sit with and take your time with, as Chase called out. I think that's a really great way of putting it, because it is a game that you could. I found things I had walked by thousands of times probably that I did not know was the path at all. Like I had no idea. It reminds me of Tunic in that sense. And I think you even called that out whenever you demoed this for us or previewed it. Like, hey, Bobby, you'll probably like this because you like Tunic. It's also interesting to me that this came out a few days before the Braid Anniversary Edition did, because it makes me. I've been spending a lot of time looking back to that period of like Fez and just Super Meat Grinder or Meat Boy. I'm sorry, and what this game is doing. Like it feels like it should be in that conversation of reference.
I was gonna say it gives some Fez vibes just with all the secrets and stuff
It
that
does,
there are.
but like I feel like when you played Fez, there was always this, somebody elbowing you, go, hey,
yeah,
there's more to it than that.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know there's actually a little bit more going on here? I don't know.
Phil Fish is fucking
Animal Well,
psycho.
yeah, it's like, hey, Phil Fish, whatever, he's fine. But Animal Well, it does. It just, I don't know. There's like a subtlety. There's like a chillness to it, where the game's like, hey man, I don't know, just go explore.
It doesn't take itself too serious.
Yeah, go have an adventure. And it's not. Maybe I'm wrong on this, but I don't think there's some grand math coding thing that we're all going to get on a forum and figure out with.
I think that's a thing.
Is there? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's not something that I feel like the game itself.
You don't have to do that to beat it or to enjoy it. I don't think.
Which was the same thing with Fez, but I always feel like people were like, but like, there's more. And Animal Well, I feel like the goal is to just finish the game and to be comfortable with it. And maybe there are more secrets somewhere. I'm having a great time with it. So I beat the ostrich area.
Okay.
And I've explored a number of other areas, but the ostrich one is the only one that I've gotten.
I haven't cleared the first.
Does anybody want to know about how long to beat?
Sure.
I was curious about that. Yeah.
Main story 6 hours. Main plus sides is 9. Completionist is 15.5.
But that's also people who know what they're fucking doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just wandering around aimlessly trying to solve puzzles.
I generally end up adding a couple hours to all those things, knowing
yep.
Like, man, that's not me.
It is a fantastic handheld game for sure.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah, I've played it on my PC and on my Steam Deck so far.
And I think it's a game that so far, I mean, it's tough with puzzle games because you either you get it or you don't. But so far, I've been getting it, and sometimes in some of those games, I feel like a game like Tunic, I would just miss something, and I don't think I would ever find it without the internet telling me at some point, or somebody saying like, "Oh, did you try that?"
Yeah.
And Animal Well, at least right now, there's like an accessibility to it. Accessibility is the wrong word because there's
an approachability to it.
Yeah, I mean, there's just like an effortlessness to it of here's the world, here's the tools that you give. I feel like the dev, when I play this game and look at how some of the stuff's going in there and seeing like, man, I bet you could get away with not having a single word in this game if you didn't want to. And the only reason words got added is because somebody in a focus group or like 10 focus groups was like, I don't understand what this is. What is this? And he's like, well, they're firecrackers. You throw them and they explode. I mean, do I have to call them firecrackers? And like, I wish you would call them firecrackers. But other than that, like the game is relatively wordless. And I think that kind of goes into its mystique of just exploring it and
Yeah.
finding cool places. And it's cool that you can't open the map in dark areas. I
Hmm.
it's frustrating, but I think it's fun. I think
Hmm.
that's a cool touch. I think there are just lots of cool touches in this game of different things you can interact with and different ways that you can play with it. And even down to the Metroid, Zelda, Castlevania style things that you find that let you interact with the world more. Like one of the first things I ended up finding, and maybe it's one of the first things everybody finds, is the bubble maker. So
Yeah.
you start making bubbles, which allows you to traverse a little bit more. It helps you jump. It finds you gaps. It helps you. There are fans that let you jump even higher if you're on a bubble, and it's a really cool way to interact with the game, especially because by the time you found the bubble, you had to interact with lots of other bubbles that naturally occur in the world. So you already know, like, oh, these are the mechanics of how a bubble works. And so now that I have a thing that produces bubbles, I
Yeah.
also know how those will physically work, and now I can mess around with it and play with it in different
Have you
I
met the
just got
thing
the
that doesn't want you
Slinky.
to have bubbles?
ways.
No,
Did
I
you
haven't
say
gotten the bubbles
Slinky?
yet. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay, I have not gotten the Slinky. Slinky's a
Have you
little
gotten the
bit
yo-yo?
Yes, I just got the yo-yo. The yo-yo's cool. I like the
Yo-yo's
yo-yo.
really cool.
There's some really cool puzzles with
Yeah.
the
The
spring.
slinky.
They call it a spring.
Yeah,
But
they call it
it's
spring.
Okay.
It's fucking rad. That's the thing. Like I feel
that was
like
when things were like, okay, all right, I see why people are so
it's
It's just
it's
like
like
really
it's
well
got big
considered.
Goonies and
yeah,
energy to it.
yeah. I just feel like I'm on an adventure.
Like this is like you're inside Data's trench coat from the Goonies. That's what this is.
It makes me think about like Zelda. It makes me think about Zelda way more than it does Metroid or Castlevania, which
Yeah.
that always feels
I
like.
mean, yeah, I would definitely associate puzzles more with Zelda. That
I
was
mean, they
always
both have them, but I
sure,
feel like
but
the puzzles you get in Metroid are uh, this makes your suit better. This is a stronger
yeah,
blast, or this
not
lets you run faster,
not.
or
I'm trying to just get into the next room.
right. Whereas,
Um,
well, or also just like fun little tools, which I think you get
yeah,
more in Zelda. I think of like
yes.
the Cane of Samaria, where it's like now you can just make a block. Isn't that
Mm-hmm.
cool? You can just make a
Yep.
block. It's not very
You just
useful
make a
in
block
much
of ice.
places, but isn't it cool that you can just make a block? Isn't that neat? Or here's like a lantern, and you know it works in a couple different ways, but it works in some very specific ways that are kind of cool. Or here's this boomerang. What's that about? Like you use the physics of that to play around in all these things. And Animal Well says, yeah. What if instead of a boomerang or a hook shot, it was a yo-yo, and you just and not only was it a yo-yo, but you walk the dog all the time, and walking the dog is like a huge mechanic of how you use the yo-yo in this game to traverse places or to hit buttons or to
Control other
flip
things.
switches. Totally,
Well,
it's
I don't
rad.
need to get the
It's so
yo-yo.
rad. Like there's so many really cool things, and it's a
I'll
game that
just
I'm
say
looking
this:
forward
chinchillas love yo-yos.
to. Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
Animal Wells,
It's
it's a tough one to talk about. It really is.
yeah, it's a game I'm excited to continue exploring. I only had the one long session with it so far, which is maybe 2.5 to 3 hours. But I'm
An
really
hour
looking forward to
20.
getting back when I can block off a good chunk of time and go, okay, I'm gonna play a lot of this game now. I'm sure it's a game that you could just play in 30-minute or 1 hour chunks, but it's a game I definitely want to spend
Yeah, I
more
think
time
just for the map
marinating
alone,
in.
that's important.
I will say, in terms of like a knock against it, is I think the manual saving sometimes hurts it. That there are some places where you can go a long time without
Mm-hmm.
a telephone, which is their Earthbound style save system, um, and that has definitely soured my mood a couple times. Where it's oh my god, you're telling me I have to go back through that room? Fuck that room. I thought I was done with that room. And now I got to go back through that to get to this other thing that's like 4 other rooms past that. Like, God damn it.
Yeah.
So I do wish maybe it was a little bit more generous with telephones, or maybe
I get
just let
that.
you
I
save.
think that's
But
fair.
it does have some things that stay persistent even if you do die. So it's not a complete heartbreaker
Yeah.
when you do die, and I would say death is not a huge deal in this game generally, but as a person who does not like losing progress, that
It sets
a
back for
manual
sure.
save system like that at very specific intervals is not my favorite system.
Well, that is our talk on Animal Well. There'll be more of it in the future. Johnny, do you want to do this, or you want me to do this for you so you can enjoy it and not have to lead it? Or do you want to do this one more time for news?
I can take us through the news.
Let's get into the news then.
So we spoke last week about the sudden closure of Tango Gameworks, and Kane Austin, and the other two studios' names. But this today, I saw some stuff go out from Tango, from the Hi-Fi Rush account. They are still releasing a limited physical edition of that through Limited Run Games, and they also put out one final patch for it to fix some minor issues, and it just kind of drove the knife in deeper because it was such a we don't need to retread it, but it just sucked because it was just a reminder that people's livelihoods have ended, and a studio that I think, if given the chance, could have made something even greater than the first Hi-Fi Rush. So it's just a shame to see. Hope all of those devs that were there can land on their feet and find someplace else, even though the rest of the industry is also on fire. But just nothing but the best to everyone affected by those layoffs and all the ones that just keep seeing happening.
For sure.
Moving on to a more lighthearted story. Do you remember this door in Super Mario 64? Because I sure do.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a door in Super Mario 64 that has finally been opened. It's 30 years after the game came out. A Super Mario 64 community member named Alex1 managed to open it, and
so it's
what happens. How does he trigger it?
It's why it's fucking insanity. Like, this is something that Zach Fleeman would do. It's people who go into so there's a part where he goes into the water area, I'm pretty sure, and he jumps onto the platform that had the 4 arrows that would move on the arrow that you stood on, and there's a way that you can clip that into a wall. And when you clip it into the wall, you clip with it, and then you can actually take that through the wall and just ride this thing to other areas within the map for Mario 64. And so they take it to a part where they can get on a platform to go up into the area where this door is. And it's bonkers in there. Like, it's a full on, like, there's fucking boulders falling at you. There's a star you can get in there. It's really fucking wild.
So is it like a test room or something?
I don't know if it's a test room or not, but this is the door that didn't have the door handle on it, or the doorknob. This is that's what this door is when you see it on the.
I imagine players have no clipped and done, like, a game like this has been broken apart and rebuilt.
This is my understanding. It's the first time it's ever happened.
Huh. It's interesting.
So,
okay.
If you go into our show,
I'll be right back.
Okay, in our show note here, Chase, I do have the video. It's like a 6-minute video. It's wild to watch.
Yeah, I'll take a look.
It reminds me of the video I saw recently. The people who are like doing that new method for Tetris, where they're like tapping the back of the controller and doing crazy shit.
That video is so good.
I know.
Does so good.
Yep.
Incredible work. But yeah, that Tetris one was awesome. Like, going from DAS to hyper tapping to rolling.
Yes.
Like,
I'll take this next one. Ubisoft has canceled their free-to-play version of The Division called Heartland. I was confused. So there's I think it's called Division Renegade is their mobile one. That's still coming, but they were going to go free to play for the Division on this next one. And it did look like it was trying to do a little bit more like the bright, weird that Fortnite is. Like people were wearing more like windbreakers and stuff like that compared to like military drab. But
so like Heartland is this Midwest, I'm guessing.
yeah, it was more Midwest of where things were. I know.
Shaft again.
Flyover for most people, flyover Ubisoft. But the this was reported by Rebecca Valentine from IGN. She in the article it says the news was revealed as part of Ubisoft's earnings release this morning, with the company saying it has redeployed resources to bigger opportunities such as X Defiant and Rainbow Six. And then I was just reading on Twitter that they're focused on two pillars here: to regain leadership in open world adventures and to expand footprint on games as a service native experiences. So you're going to see Ubisoft start to focus back in on those two things. And this was hot off the press, like literally right after they showed the Assassin's Creed Shadows trailer, which I think is probably the most excited I've been about Assassin's Creed in some time. This is following two new characters. Well, based off real characters, you have a shinobi named Naoi, and then you have a samurai named Yasuki, and you are playing between two different protagonists that have individualized missions that you will do as them, but you will be able to swap between them anytime in the open world. This is also the first time that an Assassin's Creed will not be on the PlayStation 4 since 2014, I believe, with Black Flag. So this is going to be current gen only. There's a new engine that Ubisoft is going to launch these on, and they are bringing in a lot of global illumination into the story to allow you to use shadows in real time for tactics. And you'll be able to go fully prone in this game, but there's two very distinct play styles. If you haven't watched the trailer, I'm not going to spoil it, but I'll just say this take of the hidden blade is probably the coolest I've seen them do so far. It fucking rules. It's a full cinematic trailer. The setting looks great. It is very, very, very cool, and I can't wait to.
Have they talked about structurally what this thing's going to be? Because we had the like Origin to Valhalla games that were all Destiny style, big RPG kind of stuff, and then what was the last one that was like the much shorter experience?
It was they've got two. They announced two new Assassin's Creed, and when they did that, they turned the DLC into a standalone game for. So this is the last one. You play as a character from Valhalla. So this is like he's the villain in Valhalla, and you don't know that, but you kind of play his origin, which is cool. And then in this one, it's the same size map as Assassin's Creed Origins, as far as scale goes, and it is going to be more the RPG style, not the old school. Okay. I think stealth will be a lot more of a focus on this one compared to some of those. Like, I don't think this is in the Origin trilogy. Let me say that much, because they announced this and they called it Code Red or Project Red, and then they have another one that I'm even more excited for, given the setting, which is set during the witch trials. And that sounds really fucking rad. Probably a little bit darker than what they've had. This, though, the style, the tone, what's happening with it, I believe it's really close in time to when the Shogun TV show that's taking place is. It looks rad. So Ubisoft put out a bunch of news about their future today, about this game, and about cancellation of Heartland. But that's what's happening with them. Johnny, that leaves us with a story from Square.
Square has decided to try out a bold new business strategy of trying to maximize the profits that they make from the games that they sell. So they had an earnings report or something come out in the last week or so where Final Fantasy VII Rebirth underperformed. It sounds like 16 has underperformed as well. Mm-hmm. Both of those being platform exclusive to the PlayStation 5. And so they are going to do Square Enix Reboots and Awakens, a 3-year plan for rebooting for long-term growth. This involves a rethink across all parts of the business. But the highlight is a shift to a multi-platform strategy, which I think is a bold new direction to go in, and I applaud these executives for earning their salary to deciding, hey, maybe we should put this out on more than one platform,
And maybe make a fucking good game. You know,
or that.
maybe
Yeah,
people
don't
didn't
just
want
be
fucking
bad.
people didn't want
I-
Dave and Buster's sword apparently.
I
Fucking
want Final Fantasy, not Mario Party.
yes.
Thank you.
We be
I mean,
aware. No, thank you.
The reason they were on PlayStation because they were getting a sweetheart deal from Sony. So like
Sure.
you're trading in sales for
You're
the money,
getting rid of money later for a little bit of money now.
Yeah, you're getting the guaranteed money.
Money for nothing.
You know, you always
But
like
it's
to
Final Fantasy VII. Like
Chocobos for free. Yeah,
that's gonna sell no matter where you put it. I mean, I assume that Remake Part 1 has done pretty well for them on PC.
It did. It did. But I think that this is like part of the bigger discussion that's been happening in the industry, which is like, what the fuck does exclusivity even matter anymore? Like Phil's coming out basically saying all this shit. Sony has come out now and said, we want to be more aggressive about multi-platform. Now Square's doing the same thing because Sony is like, Sony's down year over year right now. Square's down. Microsoft hardware's down. Exclusivities do not fucking matter as much to people because there's more shared experiences to be had. I mean, Microsoft's putting games out on PlayStation, Nintendo, and then shutting down the studios, like, you know, before they can even try. It's just to your point, it's not a bold move, but it's just interesting how many people are following into this now that I think Sony really kind of kicked it off with like, we got to go multi-platform, and then Nintendo will continue to be Nintendo while Xbox, Sony, and everybody else fights for the scraps.
It's a little disappointing to see how, despite still so many games coming out, there's a billion video games coming out. This focus, or this renewed focus on the hits, like let's just keep focusing on the things that we think are going to maximize the most amount of money. We're going to do the safest projects that we can, instead of exploring and experimenting and making smaller things. And I feel like we just don't get as many smaller things, like low risk stuff. And I think about a game like Pentiment, which you know, I just finally got around to watching the No Clip documentary on that. And
how was it?
The whole idea is like, hey, here's a small team. You get them for a handful of months, see what you guys can come up with, instead of the years and years and years that some of these projects take and balloon. And then you get into that Square Enix position of, well, it didn't hit expectations. Like, yeah, motherfucker, your expectations are ridiculous.
Yep.
Because you expect every single game to save your company.
At least they don't have any more Western studios left.
Yeah, they can't blame them anymore.
Yeah.
And you know, Square Enix has all sorts of problems. There's all sorts of fucking infighting going with all their teams. They're a mess. And it's unfortunate because they also just have a collection of some of the best franchises and titles and some of the best talent available. And how do you fuck some of this up? Like, why can't, if you're focused on some of these things, like, why isn't the Dragon Quest 3 HD thing out right now? Why is it taking so long to get cool small RPG projects out instead of focusing on
it's true
on Final Fantasy 16 for a billion fucking years? It's disheartening because I think they could do so many cool things and they just aren't. And in fact, it sounds like from not this report but previous reports that, oh, you know, we're gonna slash a lot of these other smaller things that we were doing and focus on the bigger things. Like, no, that's the opposite of what I think you should be doing.
God. So we'll see what happens there. Obviously, they're hunkering down and going to be doing more shit. If I can play some of those games on a platform I like better than PlayStation, that'd be great. Johnny, that was it. That was your final casual report in this era, at least.
Signing off.
Let's get to the credits here and say goodbye. We've had already a really cool week with Rogue Voltage we told you about. We're not putting out any quick looks this week. We just had a lot of stuff changing with the show, with Johnny stepping away and just other things going on. So we're going to get those recorded. We'll be back with an update on Monday morning about what that schedule for next week looks like. We got together and told you about the games that we were playing tonight. And Friday night, as I teased, we're going to be playing V Rising. If you want to follow along with all the things that we do, you can find the links there in chat. Johnny, feel free to throw in your link tree really quick one last time in chat, and we'll let. Then we're banning it. This will be the end. So as we get ready to say goodbye here, Johnny, where can the fine folks find you before we get over to Chase and what he's got going on?
I am over on Twitter at JMazich. I am also writing for Hard Drive. I have a Substack that I've been writing on about once a week, and that is about it.
Cool.
Right now.
And Chase, what do you got going on?
Yeah, we talked about Pierce, good friend of our show, who will be on Friday. Pierce and I do another podcast. It's called Pilot Program. We watch the first episodes of every television show ever made. Our last episode was on One Punch Man, and our next episode, which I think should be recording next week, is going to be on Freaks and Geeks, which I'm really excited about. We're going to bring on our first guest.
Ooh, cool.
Very excited. So go find more about that at shows.acast.com/pilotprogram. And then I also have a YouTube channel of my own called Chase K Plays, where I play through various video games. Currently, I'm playing through Advance Wars 2 on the Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp. It's a series I've called Black Hole, son! And it's been a lot of fun. The second episode went out today. So go check that out and watch me fumble through some Advance Wars and keep telling people that I will stop fumbling and start being very smart, strategic boy and failing miserably. But we're getting through it, and it's good. So, all good.
And Johnny, just one final thanks, man. Appreciate all you've done for the show, and we will continue to march this thing forward.
Now get the fuck out of here.